So the one thing that I ran into is that what if you're somebody that says, look, I'm a responsible person and I'm concerned for my own safety. I carry my gun and I want to have it. Now, look, I'm not talking about concealed carry because I know that's very difficult in California, but in other states it's not as difficult. And here in California, you can still carry a gun with you. You just can't have a concealed carry. I mean, you could if you're going hunting, you have to have a gun with you, right? So what about people that say, I want to have my gun nearby? If something goes on at my work, I want to be able to step up and fight back if I need to. And I want to know, can I have my gun with me at work? Can I have it with me in my car at work? In Kentucky, that's one of the states where they got the CCWs are a little bit easier to get, obviously, than California. Most states are easier to get than in California. But here's a situation where a guy was 25 years old. He worked at a plastics plant in Kentucky. He walked out of the parking lot, got a weapon out of the glove compartment of his car. He went then, this happened 4.5 years ago. He went back into work, shot and killed 5 coworkers. He then turned the weapon on himself and took his own life. There was nothing that the company could have done to make this any different because Kentucky is a state where employers have to allow employees and customers to keep firearms locked in their cars that are parked on the company property. This guy didn't have a history. He had the gun legally. It was not concealed because it was in his glove box, so they said that it's not a concealed carry, that's in the glove compartment, and he was not required to have a concealed carry permit. So I thought, let's ask Pasha on this one. So Pasha from Top Floor Legal is joining. Pasha, this becomes very complicated because, and we've said this all along, it's not a black and white issue. So what are the rules in California about having a gun in your vehicle at work?
Yeah, so you mentioned Kentucky is one of the states, and there's about 9 states that prohibit all-out bans and guns in the workplace. And surprisingly, California is not one of them, okay?
Yeah.
And so as far as in the workplace, in effect, you can actually have a privatized gun control when in the work environment.
So the HR department can come up with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the HR department's going to have to contemplate different situations as to whether or not they should prohibit or allow guns, but generally, the law provides them pretty wide standard for that.
So let's say that I'm going to go hunting after work and I've got my rifle in the car, I'm not in violation then of a state law. Even it might be against my company policy, but I wouldn't be in violation of a state law.
Yeah, as far as transporting guns and so forth, and we're going to look to local law like that. And just from the top of my head, when it comes to rifles or shotguns, you have to carry them unloaded, of course. And
right.
When it comes to handguns, you have to be in a lock container, things like that.
Inaccessible and all that other stuff.
That's right.
Okay, now let me ask this then. Let's take what happened in Kentucky, and let's say that we've got somebody who's got the shotgun in their car. The company doesn't have a policy against having a shotgun in your car, but something snaps, like the guy in Kentucky, and they go out of their car and they get the shotgun, they come in and they start shooting people. So is there a legitimate case for the victim's family to sue the employer for not having a policy in place that restricts that? Is that legit that the family can go, oh my goodness, my son died, and it wouldn't have happened if the company had a gun policy in place?
Yeah, I have a lawyer answer for that, and the answer is it depends. It depends upon who's the victim and in what circumstances this gun violence occurred. So if one of the victims is an employee, then actually workers' compensation exclusivity rule actually bars lawsuits against an employer for employee-on-employee violence.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Kind of interesting. Now, there's some exceptions to that. I don't know if we will go into that, but gross negligence and intentional conduct is
a little bit different. Okay.
Yeah.
What if there's a customer that's standing there? He's not an employee.
Well, that makes it more interesting, and then we'll default to more a negligence standard as to whether or not the employer fell below his or her standard of care when it comes to managing and making a safe work environment.
Okay. All right. So it's again, there's some legal wrangling that goes on there. This issue is not easy. It's far more complicated. That's why I called you, Pasha.
Yeah, but look at it this way: employees are generally responsible for their own independent, intentional acts, like usually gun violence is.
Yeah.
But where they're acting within the scope of employment, employers may actually be held liable. There's a good case going on right now in North County, and where a security guard was carrying a knife against company handbook policy and ended up carving up a couple of customers. And now the issue is whether he acted within the scope and the fact that even though the employers prohibited knives on the facility,
right,
they knew that he actually was carrying it. And a knife, of course, is different than a gun, but
right,
the analogy stands.
All right. Pasha, listen, we talked about this before. It's complicated. That's why we go to askpasha.com. Pasha's with Top Floor Legal, and he's the guy I go to because these issues are never as black and white as people make them out to be. Pasha, thanks for your expertise on this, man. I appreciate it, pal.
No problem.
All right, dude. Ask Pasha, Top Floor Legal, askpasha.com. If you've got questions like these, he'll answer your questions there. Top Floor Legal, askpasha.com. At 4:36, your kid is dumber than the bilingual kid sitting next to him. Time to open your mind, my man, and buy Rosetta Stone for their birthday. It's at 4:36, the Voice of Maryland News Radio 600 Kogo.